Welcome to the Mischief. I'm Valen, and this is Vintage Story Unearthed 119. And if you remember last time, I did a whole bunch of clay work, and we're going to be hopefully reaping the benefits of that today. But first, I've got some other things I need to tend to, and that is some storage. I kind of sorted through my inventory. I've got a few things going on here. If you're curious as to how I have these inventories being displayed in here, by the way, it's part of the settings in here, and it's under the interface tab, the Immersive Mouse mode, which allows you to basically have the inventories above the inventories themselves. So I find it a lot easier than having everything just like show up on the sides, because I can never tell which inventory goes to which one. This way it sticks along with it, and it's really immersive for me. Now, that aside, I do have several things going on here. I'm going to need all the cattails I can muster, because at this point, those pelts that I had, which if you're unfamiliar with what I'm talking about, those were oiled hides and they're curable, but they were before that raw hides that I had applied fat to. And by doing so, I now have pelts. Now, by taking these plus some cattails, the quantity I have should be enough for one at least. Yeah, looks like it. There we go. I now have a hunter backpack. I thought I'd have enough for more. I thought it was 2, but I guess it's going to be 3 per. Ugh. But anyway, let's empty out the backpacks here. And if you look here, storage slots 3. This hand basket actually says empty. And that tells me that I don't need to worry about losing any items in it. So I can swap that one out. And I now have an extra space as it is. Now, I can also take this and a knife and get 5 back, which is going to be pretty nice, but it's still not going to be enough. Now, if you really wanted to, you could also place those hand baskets down, but they're not really going to be storage anymore. Now, considering that I need at least 15 total cattails, and I can only get 5 back by cutting it with my knife, that's not going to be sufficient for me to actually increase the hunter backpack quantities that I have. But as it's also morning, considering that I just did a little snooze, I can now go out and maybe have a little look around for more cattails that I know are in the area. Previously I found them all around here. I'm sure that I can find a few more. And yes, the pit kilns are still going strong. Once again, I should have used peat on here instead of the logs, because that really would have sped things up a lot. But I didn't, and oh well. Already I'm in luck with a whole lot of cattails. Let me just break some of these, get enough so that I can upgrade my inventory another stage, and then I'll be right back. And now, with the prospect of more storage on the horizon, I have obtained, well, first and foremost, a whole lot of reeds, or cattails, as you can see. But I'm also making a few extra spears, and there's a good reason for that. One, I see dinner over there. If you're not seeing what I'm seeing, there is a pig. And I'm going to see if I can get around it, the other side of it. And then go from there. I don't see... That's just more pigs. Okay, that's fine. And what I'm going to try and do is turn this into a really nice meal. Oh, and of course, there's thunder and lightning going on right now as well. Oh. And it looks like it's just running straight for the water, which is kind of what I had planned, though just not where all the stuff is. Oh shoot. Got it. Okay, this is going to be more challenging than I intended. Okay, let's see if I can... Oh, and my torch went out. Where is it? Hey, I know you guys can't really see much, but I'm going to take the drops, exit this, grab the bones, hope that I don't get eaten by sharks, and get up out of the water. No, there's no sharks in Vintage Story, at least not yet. And I did put my torch out by accident. Whoopsie. But I'm going to head back to base and see about making myself a proper first meal in a cooking pot if it's ready. I don't know that it will be or not. Maybe I can store it long enough that I can. Well, it looks like my plans are going to be pretty foiled, because that's still going to take like a whole nother day or so, at least, before the pit kilns are going to be ready. Let's see if I can actually get back up here. There we go. So that I can make my first big meal. But I might be able to create a storage solution. Let's see here. I've got some dirt, and I've got some space back here. So what I'm going to try and do is try and make a bit of a storage solution. Because I don't have a way of actually mining things out yet. Actually, is there dirt underneath this one? Oh, that's right. I forgot. I had food down there. This is my storage area. And depending on the climate you're in, having a reed chest or other storage device, this is just like the most basic you can. If you look in here, when I'm looking at this one, at the very top, let's see if I can actually do this. At the very top of the screen, it says 0.77. No, now it says 0.78. Storage, food storage, parish speed. Now, if I look down here, it's 0.78 as well. But I might be able to actually, well, here, let's look at this. Fresh for 4 days, right? And if I put soil down, it's still fresh for 4 days. Now, sometimes it takes a little bit for these things to update. Other times they just need to actually be deeper into the ground or a better container or something. But in this case, I think it's just really that minuscule of a difference for this to actually work. Now I'm going to put the raw red meat in here, which says fresh for 2 days. Maybe that'll extend further. Maybe not. I'm not really sure. I have some rawhide in here. That's perishable as well. And a bunch of cranberries. I have some regular cooked meat that I'm going to try and be eating here. But the idea here is that I'm trying to... Yeah, there we go. This is now good for 7 days. This is still only good for 2 days. I might have to cook this red meat. No, it'll probably get really close before I can use it. But I can still use the cranberries as well. So as long as I catch the cooking pot before it expires, then I should be alright. So it's just a really good idea to have some kind of storage like this. Now, if you're in a hotter climate, putting things down in the ground like this may not always work. Sometimes it may end up cooking them even better, and you're creating just one big cooking pot to put them in, depending on the container. There we go. I now have upgraded all of my storage to hunter backpacks. Oh, phenomenal. So, and that gives me plenty left so that I can actually use these for other things. Let's see. Animal drops. We'll put the pelts in here that are already cured. These ones here are curing. If I put them in here, they will actually slow down as well because of the perish speed on these. And you notice now that they're like 0.94, 0.91, so that they change depending upon the temperature and all the different kind of climate conditions. Sometimes it's helpful, sometimes it's not. One of the things I hate most is probably my knife running out of durability or running very low on it, because then I know I'm going to need to switch it out soon. So I think every time that I have the opportunity to put a bone handle on it and I remember to, I think I'm going to do so, because it's just going to save me that much time and effort. Now I do have actually more bones on me, and I think just for knives and axes I'm going to make sure to keep that available. So I was just looking at my map and I noticed I haven't found a single deposit of copper. That's kind of disappointing. Oof. And that darn thunder and lightning. So an easy way of finding things is zooming out on your map and then clicking terrain. That will make the map go away and show all the icons. Then you can see things that you have on here. You know, you can actually remove the waypoints as well. But then sometimes you've got something that's a little bit close to the color of the map itself, and that can help you to find things a little bit easier. Now, something I did find though is some resin here and here, and what I'm kind of thinking is I would like some early game armor protection, and resin can really be helpful for that, even if it's just for like a chest plate, because right now I'm still wearing my improvised body armor, or my swamp armor as I like to call it, and I feel that just by me doing so, oh wait, unless, oh, happy day. Everything comes out aces, and we've got a whole bunch of new stuff to work with. Oh, this is good, this is good. Alright, real quick, I'm gonna instead make a meal. So, first thing I'm going to do is put down some of these molds. Now, in the current version, 1.19.7, you can actually set these out in the open air, and if rain drips on it, it may slightly decrease the amount of time that it takes to cool. May, and very slightly. But in future versions beyond this, by adding water on top of a mold with heated metal, they will probably break, or at least they'll have a very high chance of it. And that would probably be bad. So I'm going to try and get in the habit of keeping these indoors, or at least under cover, with the expectation of future stuff. If you don't know about this, it's been posted on some of our social media and our Discord. And when I say our, I mean because I work for Inego Studios, which are the makers of Vintage Story. But enough about that. Let's get a nice hearty meal going. I'm going to get some meat and some berries, and I think I can make this work. Actually, what I'm going to do is close this up. I'm going to leave this open, and I can still put things in and out. It's kind of weird, but it works. Just trust me on that one. And for some reason, I put the crucible in here instead of my cooking pot. There we go, cooking pot. And with meat, you need to have usually, or protein of some sort, you usually need to have at least 2 servings in there of that. And then I don't know if it'll accept, yeah, I didn't think so. But I can use the berries and go this way and spread it out. Alternately, I could, if I really want to, do something like this. And then like make 2 really big meals like that. Yeah, actually maybe I do that. I feel like that's a little bit more appropriate, and that'll fill up a lot of your hunger bar, if not the entire thing. So I'm gonna put the rest of these berries away. In fact, I might even put these meats back in here, keep them in there, and light this up. Now, meals sometimes will take a bit longer to try and like cook, depending upon the size of the meal and how much contents you have in there. So you might have to keep a close eye on it so that you know. On top of that, I do have a crucible. Of course, I'm going to need to kind of put that down here for now. And I have bowls. Now, if you see the bounding box of this crucible, by the way, if I pick this up and put down the bowl first, and then I put the crucible down, it'll actually keep the bounding box of the bowl instead. So if you don't want the bounding box to be quite so large, you can always do something along those lines. Now I'm going to keep one of these for eating, the bowls that is. And the other one I'm going to use for a brand new light source so that I don't need to worry about my torch going out all the time. And that's to make an oil lamp. Oh, I finally have permanent light that won't go out in the water. And there we have it. 2 meals are now done, as you can see. Oops, and just got to be careful, because if you get a little too close to the fire, you will take a little bit of damage. But for now, you see my bowl is empty. I'm just going to right click and I scoop a bit in there, and your character even holds on to this cute little bowl of food. It's just so cute. Of course, I'm holding 2 bowls right next to each other, but you get the idea. And then you can always just take this pot of cooked food with you. And it can hold up to 6 servings in it, so you could feasibly use it as a way of storing things temporarily, and then placing it down and taking a scoop of food out of it, which is pretty much what I'm going to do right now. So I have 2 servings on me, and I'm going to go see if I can get some of that resin I was talking about. Also, while I'm out, maybe I'll be able to find myself some copper deposits. That would be nice. And because I might need the tool as well as the damage. Oh yeah, there we go. That's a good idea. Let's put this spear up front. So just by using this spear, whether it be to stab or throw, once it breaks, if you have other spears in your inventory, it will then take the first one from top left, going to the right, and then down in that line. So that is an automatic refill of your spear throwing ability, which is pretty darn good. So you don't need to worry if you're carrying one that's about to break. You can still rely on the fact that if you've got others nearby, you can then just use those. What was that? Was that oh. Oh. Well, I guess you're staying there for a while, little sheepy. I might be able to save you later on, provided that you don't fall down to your death like that bunny did. Alright, so I've got a bit of a journey ahead of me. I'm basically heading back towards the spawn area and beyond, so I can grab some resin here and then here, and maybe I'll find some more pine trees along the way so that I can more or less just keep myself squared away with finding more resin, because you're never going to have enough resin. It's something that I've found. Oh, and if along the way I find something else that I can store with me, like flax, then I will definitely be harvesting that. Alright, and it looks like I've found my first tree that isn't too far away. Oh, and it looks like there's also a windstorm going on right now, which is why my character is shielding their eyes. So if you're a little bit confused about why this sometimes happens, that's going to be why. You're kind of in a dusty area, there's a bunch of wind, and it's something that you're going to probably need to just be aware of, I guess. I mean, you can throw things, and they might be affected by the wind. You notice it kind of like slid and stuff like that. But yeah, anyway, just a neat feature. At one point it actually blew the player around, but that since has been removed. Oh, okay. This is actually really good. I mean, no, it's not the best because I'm on the edge of a forest, but this here, horsetail, this stuff can keep you alive, especially if you have a bunch of cattails. But I don't right now, but I've got a bunch at home, which means I can use this for healing in the future. So this is really going to be important, especially since it's just on the outskirts of the forest and not in the depths of it where I'm probably going to run into wolves quite regularly. Oh, and this is actually one of my favorite bushes, is the blueberry bush. I'm going to take some of those with me. I'm kind of running low on space already, but yeah, I'm just doing a resin run and hoping to find any copper along the way. And here we go, the other one. Nice. So just by holding right click, I now have gathered 2 resin, and my hunger meter is almost completely exhausted. So let's have some of this. And we've got what? Protein 1260 and fruit 90. That's phenomenal. That's going to be 13 of these little bars on here that it's going to fill, or more. So I still have 3% of that left, and it filled my hunger bar completely, which is great. I might have even gotten a big food bonus buff. The better the meal that you eat, the longer it is before your hunger meter actually starts to drop again. Oh, hey, and on the way back, I have found another resin log. And of course, not forgetting to mark it, I'm putting it on my map. Oh, and it looks like I've found yet another resin spot out on the map. Not too bad. Now here's something you probably need to be careful of or watch out for, is that sometimes sand or gravel will just be floating. And I'm not sure if people have experienced this before, but if you kind of jump on it a bit, you could be taken away with the landslide. So there's still a little bit more over there, but it's often not a bad idea to just kind of trigger that so that you don't accidentally do it. And I've arrived back at home, and I still have plenty to eat actually, so let me have another nom of food. I'm going to put the bowl down. Actually no, I can put the bowl in the fire pit, the cooking pot at least, scoop what's in it out of it, and then I could potentially make myself another meal for what's to come. Sadly, I don't have enough of any materials to try and combine these with 1 flax grain, a bunch of berries, and 1 shiitake mushroom that I found on the side of a tree. So I think you need to have at least a couple grain and a couple protein in order to start things with, or vegetables even, and I only have 1 of each of those, and the only things I have is cranberries. And I can't make jam or anything like that unless I've got some honey, which I don't have. So that's going to be a thing as well. Still, I'm not exactly hurting for food because I've got one of those hefty meals, plus I've got a bunch of other food that's ready, that's pretty much stored for now. So I'm not too concerned about the food problems. I did get a little bit of flax from those flax seeds that I ended up harvesting, which is nice. I currently have some turnips and some flax. At least the beginnings of a simple farm. I have a blueberry bush that I'm going to want to plant, a whole bunch of horsetail that I'm definitely going to be using to make some poultices. In fact, I think I'm going to start doing that right now and make some of this just so that I have 1 stack's worth. I'm just clicking until I can't click anymore, which is going to be 16. And then I can carry those around with me so that if I end up getting injured, I've got something to work with. So this resin, let's take a look at it and press H while above it, and you can see that we've got some lamellar armor that I can make. It looks like I'll even have a little bit left over, but how do I make lamellar? It's basically just a bunch of firewood and some pelts. Let's see, and that's just to make the hat. The body armor requires a bunch more firewood, and this requires a bit more pelts. So I don't know that I have enough pelts. In fact, I think I might only have the 2 that are curing. No, I've got 2. So I suppose I could try and take the wood that I have, chop up a bit more, because I've got a whole bunch in here. Maybe I can reproduce this recipe here. Let's take this axe out of here, and go back down and around a couple times. 1 resin, and is 1 enough, or do I need 2? Looks like I'll need 2. But that'll get me the chest plate. Now here's the problem, is that this actually starts changing your stats, whereas the one that I currently have, yeah, I've got a lot of stuff open right now. Let me close some of these. Currently, if you look at the stats on this, there is no changes. It doesn't do anything except give you a little bit of protection. That's 55%. Then if you look at this, actually it says here, healing effectiveness minus 10%. So if I'm using some of those poultices, instead of 2 hit points, I'm healing like 1.8 hit points, because it's 10% less effective every time I use that while wearing one of those pieces of armor. Then the hunger rate increases, so I get hungrier faster. My accuracy with ranged weapons drops a little bit. The charge time, it takes me longer to throw spears, and my walk speed is reduced. But these are all very small amounts. You add that up with multiple pieces of armor, it can really start to weigh you down. But it can also give you a lot of protection. If you look here, it gives you some flat damage reduction of a half a hit point. And percent protection is 65%, as opposed to this one giving you 55%. So just that flat damage reduction in and of itself will definitely reduce a lot of drifter rocks that are thrown at you. And drifters, I think we're going to be seeing rather soon at this rate. And for now, since this is all I have available, I'm going to take the most, used piece, and that's going to be this. Well, or should I make some pants? Because I could keep the chest plate. That might actually be the smarter thing. I could make some shoes or hat. Maybe I do the boots. Because I currently like my straw hat. Even though it may give me protection up there, I can use this and just add this onto my feet. There we go. So I now have some basically wooden bracers on my legs. And then once these oiled hides finish curing, I can then make another piece of armor. Probably the hat, and then I can keep on remaking improvised body armor very simply until I have enough. So I feel pretty well equipped at this point, and I do have a few seeds out here. I feel getting flax planted up, turnips are going to be nice as well, but getting flax planted up is really going to be important so that I can produce more flax fibers. These are going to be used for making so many things, it's ridiculous. Basically, it will be used to make flax twine, first and foremost, which then can be used to make bandages, which are better than the poultice that I was using before that has 2 hit points. It can heal 3. On top of that, I can also have a linen sack, which gives 5 storage slots, as opposed to the 4 that I have for my hunter backpack. Needless to say, flax is very important, so I'm going to need to make myself a farm, and in order to do so, I'll need tools for that. So let's start off by making a hoe. Probably one of the simplest designs there are for it, and you just kind of knocking off a whole bunch of extra stuff, but I think one hoe is probably going to do it for me. I'm not going to make this farm very large, and in fact, I just need to make sure that it's in a spot that the water is going to be acceptable. And by that, I mean there's 2 kinds of, well, actually I think there's 3 kinds of water that you have out in the world. There's fresh water, there's salt water, and then there's boiling water, which you don't want that. That's definitely bad. But we're not near any hot springs or anything right now, so we're going to hope that this is actually going to be fresh water. And it being a small inland lake, I think we're probably going to be in pretty good chance of that. I might just put some of my crops around some of these other smaller areas. I might actually put it over here by the trader. And we've got some spelt over here that I see along the way. And actually, look, some of this is rather low, like stage 5 out of 9. Just by taking your hoe and tilling the ground underneath it, that's going to ensure that this might have a better chance of getting to a higher growth stage so you can harvest it for the most amount of stuff faster, rather than having to wait around. And with it being in a regularly traveled area, I'm not even going to harvest these ones that say 7 out of 9. In fact, I'm going to just make sure that they're all tilled so that they can do it. Now, I know that they don't have water. You can actually make a watering can, and I probably need to do so. But for now, I think I'm going to just... Oh, there's a bunch of rye as well. I'm going to just harvest the stuff that's mature so that I have some more food and planting options. Oh, this is great. I just got to remember not to use the hoe to harvest this stuff because it uses up the durability of it. and I can just harvest it by my hand. And as luck would have it, I found some more flax. So let's actually till the ground here, and it's right next to this caravan. So this trader is going to be very important for me. Oh, 9 out of 9? Yes, please. I will take that. That is fantastic. Oh, would you look at that? We've got a moose over there, just kind of walking around in the underbrush. And this is the little spot that I was thinking of. You notice on the map that I'm just a little bit north of the trader. So this is kind of nice. I don't see a problem with it. I'm pretty sure that this is going to be fresh water, specifically because it's so small and inland. I just need to try and clear this area out. Similar to other block-like survival games, one might find that water will hydrate crops nearby, but it actually diminishes the further away from the water it is. So the closer you have it to the water, the better off it'll be. Or at least the least amount of watering you have to do. On top of that, if it does rain, that will hydrate your crops as well. And with farming, you need to be aware that there are nutrient levels in any of the soil that you use. And this looks like it's all low fertility soil. This is not going to be a good start. I might need to have some higher fertility stuff in order for this stuff to even be harvestable this year. Because the nutrients in low fertility soil are just really bad. Just having the ability to actually pick up some of the different grains and seed producers out there, because I've got more inventory space at this point, is a huge game changer because I now have a whole bunch more food. All of these can be made into meals in my pot now, which is fantastic. With this in mind, I can actually take a bunch of the rye grain or spelt or flax that I have now gained a few more of, combine it with the cranberries and make myself a nice porridge. But I don't think I need that at the moment because I'm still doing alright with this. My hunger level is getting really low, but I think I'll be alright. On top of that, by putting my bowl with meal in here, that's going to last for 8 days, as opposed to in my hot bar, it'll last for 5. So I think I'll do that, and I'll eat the cooked meat that I have that's going to expire much sooner. Now, I realize that the cranberries are going to expire a little bit quicker too, but I think that I can use those with the very next meal that I make. Well, it looks like I'm just going to be hard-pressed with some low fertility soil until I can find something a little bit better. Which, I'm not too pressed about food right now. If I can get a little bit of this and store some away before winter, I think I'll be alright. I know that I've got some high fertility in there, but I don't want to use that on a temporary farming location. So the drawbacks of tilling soil. All those spaces that I tilled underneath a bunch of those seeds in the area that I know I'm going to be going back and forth on is that when I do pick those up, I'm still going to have tilled land. It doesn't revert. And if you break it, it disappears. It breaks and just goes away into the void. The reason for that is because they don't want you like cheesing the nutrition in the soil, which kind of makes sense when you really think about it. But let's see, I've got 6 flax seeds because I found a couple more on the way over, strangely enough. But let's put down those. Then what else do I have? I've got rye, turnip, and spelt. I usually have a lot of grain, so I'm going to prioritize the turnips next. And as you can see here, the moisture currently is 100%. It's not necessarily going to stay there because it probably just rained recently. But with that in mind, I can now start using this just water source to keep things hydrated. Now, if you do plant near salt water, your crops are probably going to die. So that's something to just be aware of. And that's a start for this. I did find some carrots over there as well. I'm hoping to use those in the future. I definitely am happy to be able to eat massive amounts of food in giant food bowls now. And with that, I think I'll call it here. I feel like I've been somewhat productive in this case. I've started a little bit of a farm. I've got myself my first pieces of armor. I've got myself some food. I've got a bunch of molds. I do need to go looking for some ore. And I think what I might do is show you a few ways on how to do that in the future. So if you enjoyed this, please be sure to give a like, comment, subscribe, and tune in next time for more Vintage Story Unearthed in 119.